Hi, my name is Ash. If you're new here, this is my channel where I form discussions on movies, short films, books, and sometimes I do how-tos. I pretty much just like having a conversation on my channel, and if that's your thing, don't forget to give me a like and a follow. I would very much appreciate it. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about coming-of-age films that mainly focus on transitioning from middle school to high school. I hope you enjoy these movies. Stay tuned to the end. I'm gonna go ahead and give some advice, a little tidbit of advice. I'm not a professional or anything, so if it's not good advice, don't follow it. If you don't think it's good advice, don't follow it, but I'm just gonna put some words down there, so just stay tuned till the end. Our first movie is called Sleepover, and it is a movie about two best friends who are trying to get the popular table for when they go into high school, and they don't want to be anywhere else other than that cool table. So they make a scavenger hunt with the rival group of girls where whoever wins the scavenger hunt or whoever finishes it first gets that table. The message of this movie is you aren't as invisible as you thought. You just didn't put yourself out there. And I think that is a huge lesson to learn today. Let those words sink in. You are not as invisible as you think. You just don't put yourself out there. It's a nice way to kind of see that play out through all the quirkiness of this movie, through the funny lines, through the crazy sneaking out. And I'm not condoning that because this is a movie, so don't do things that you see in this movie just because you were like, Ash told me I gotta put myself out there, so I'm gonna jump off of a tower of a house and sneak out and steal some boxers. Like, no, you're not doing that. I put it on par with The Hot Chick, Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, those type of movies. Just a nice, funny, quirky movie that you kind of want to see with all your friends in a sleepover. It's called Sleepover. It's in the name. Oh, be prepared. This is the only movie I have that is not deep and you could just watch for funsies. The rest are kind of deep. Just letting you know beforehand. Prepare yourself. The next film is called Didi. It follows a 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy who spends his summer before high school discovering himself. I would describe this movie as identity crisis. There are just some things that happen each time you have a huge transition in your life, whether it's a new school, a new city, a new home. Something happens within you trying to navigate all that, and this is a highly realistic story about that moment. And this movie is even more relatable and more realistic if you come from an immigrant household. There are just some things that relate to you as an immigrant family. For instance, people kind of just expect you, especially at that age, to not have another identity within you. They kind of make fun of you for it, or even if they are part of that community, they kind of have some sort of internal racism because they themselves are struggling with their own identity. On top of that, you're also following him as he struggles with his relationship with his sister and his mother, and how he navigates flirting at that age and trying to be cool and realizing that sometimes, even though you were friends with people for a long time, they change and they are no longer people that like you or are even good to you. It's a really good film, and I would suggest this movie for anyone, especially if you're around that age. It's very relatable, and even more so if you're from an immigrant household. Okay, so this one was very interesting. So interesting that I had to write about it because I don't think I was gonna be able to convey how this movie made me feel by memory. So this is what I wrote. A movie about an 8th grader who uses her last year in school to work on herself mentally and emotionally. I enjoyed this movie even though it made me uncomfortable, not because it's gross or weird, but because it has such cringeworthy parts that are very accurate for the time it is set in and what teenagers would actually do or feel. Oh my god, just reading it, I don't know, I'm just getting flashbacks of this movie. It is so cringeworthy, but in the best way possible. Okay, I felt embarrassed, like third-party embarrassment in some scenes, and it absolutely made me pause the movie and just mentally prepare for the embarrassment. There's this scene that I saw that physically hurt me because I went through the same thing. It's during the gift giving at someone's pool party, and it just killed me because it brought me back to that time in middle school. And I think the fact that it has the power to bring you back, that is what makes it so uncomfortable. Definitely, this is a movie you have to watch, even if it's just for one time, because you can't handle watching it a second time. There we go. Exactly what I just wrote, because I can't even say that by memory. It's so embarrassingly relatable. That's all I have to say. So the next movie is called Boyhood, and this movie follows the life of a child that deals with divorce, a child of divorce, school, and growing up. It was very interesting, and it took me aback. I had to take a pause because I'm so used to seeing time changes and just seeing different actors to represent their younger counterparts, but this movie did it different. This movie was filmed in 12 years. It took 12 years to film because the director wanted to keep the same cast and get a realistic version of aging. So you get to actually see the main character grow on screen, and that is what makes it so interesting. Even though it's interesting in that way, I do want to let you know it is a slow burn movie. Normally it takes me a while to watch slow burn slice of life films. I finished watching them in a span of like 2 to 3 days. That's how long I take to watch slow burn movies. It's just me. Some people can sit through it. I can't. However, with this film, I was able to watch it in one sitting, mostly because the concept of their use of aging with the same cast kept me intrigued. I found myself excited to see all the time jumps and just see how everyone grew. Kind of like an auntie. Like, I just want to go ahead and be like, oh my gosh, you changed your hair. Look at you, you're all grown up now. Anyways, the movie mainly focuses on the boy. You never find out what's going on in anybody else's lives, like the sister, the mom, the dad. You only see it from a very shallow point of view because I don't know if this was their intention, but it felt like to me they wanted to make it seem like you were watching it through his eyes, through the main character's eyes, and you will ever only know as much as he does. It's just, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that. It made me sympathize more with the main character and kind of see patterns. I would suggest this movie to watch once, even if you don't like slow burns, because it is a form of art, as I would say, since it makes you think a little more than any other movie does. Plus that whole aging concept of keeping the same cast, it's amazing. So yeah, give this a shot. Hello. Okay, hello. So we are on our last film. It's called God, Are You There? It's Me, Margaret, if I'm getting it right. So as you can tell in the title, it has to do with God, but it's not a full-on religious movie. It's a quirky movie about a girl who moves to a different city during her transition in middle school, and the reason why the title includes the word God is because, if I remember correctly, her father is Jewish, her mother was Christian. They got married, and they didn't want to put the pressure of religion on their daughter because they themselves saw how it can really affect certain people in a not positive way. The daughter kind of ends up wanting to figure out more about religion throughout the film, but it's not fully about religion. It's just a huge part of it because it's a huge part of their family. But the majority of it is girlhood and finding out about how your body is changing, how you start having crushes on people and trying to make friends. It's based on the 70s, so there's a lot of social aspects that are different, but that awkward and confusing time a preteen goes through is consistent and true to life now. I like the aspect of including religion. I liked it because it shows how not in control you feel at the time, so much so that you would just want to let anyone take the wheel. She tries to depend on an outer force, and in her case, she's exploring different religions, her father's side and her mother's side, to kind of help her feel in control of her life, because moving from a different city and leaving behind all your friends is something that will make any child, especially at this age, feel out of control and need help. And when you're growing up, even though your parents are there, you don't feel like you can depend on them as much, and you try to find other forms to help you out, even if it's just your inner monologue or some outer force in faith. I would suggest give this a watch. It was really funny. It's really accurate in the way we thought of growing up and how some people want to grow up really quickly and others don't, and the way you clash because of this. We are back, and before we start, I want to let you know that being a teenager wasn't always a thing. Long ago, not in this year, not in this era, like way back, it was just child to adult. And that is why people married so young, because there was no like concept of someone not being mentally ready. If you were physically looked like an adult, if you physically had the features of an adult, they considered you an adult, and we now know that that isn't right. Then later on, they started realizing like, oh, okay, we have children, teenagers, adults, and teenagers soon got separated into preteens and young adults. Because if you guys remember Justice and all that, that was specifically targeted towards preteens. That was the era of recognizing preteen and then adult life. Most of this happened because of capitalism. They wanted to go ahead and target specific items to specific categories of people. You know, if you're a teenager, then you need to use these items to be a teenager. You're a preteen, you need to wear this. And it really works until it doesn't. It's consistently changing based on huge life changes, huge discoveries. And I just want to let you know, if it's a confusing time for you, you have every right to feel confused. It is so valid because it's not even consistent in itself. That being said, I want to let you know that being a teenager is hard and you have so much going on in your body, your mind, and your exterior. So I think the best piece of advice I can give someone would just be to focus on media. And I don't mean social media. Don't do that because that will mess with your brain. Trust me, you will become insecure. You'll be judging yourself. Why am I not as successful? Why am I not as cool? Why don't I have that many friends? Why am I not doing it right? So don't focus on social media. Focus on true forms of media, such as literature, movie, music, forms of art that truly help exercise your mind so you can see clearly what's going on around you and what's going in within yourself. I hope you like the movies I shared with you, and I hope they are able to help you get through it and let you know you're not alone if you are going through that current transition in your life of being a teenager. And if you're an adult now, I hope that it helps you feel valid in the things you did as a teenager and not regret the things that you did during that time. I hope you enjoyed this, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I highly appreciate it. Your support means a lot to me. I hope you have a good day. Bye.